Okay, so something wild just happened in Hollywood. So Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, obviously, they are married. Everybody loves them. And this is because Blake has a movie out right now called It Ends With Us. However, this success came at a cost. Let's hurry up and dive on in because this story has so many layers. And if you don't know who he is, I'm sorry guys, it's so heartwarming, so funny. It Ends With Us is a story about domestic violence and abuse. And the character that Justin Baldoni is playing is the abuser. Another girl said, I was thinking maybe they didn't want to romanticize the relationship between Ryle and Lily. Genuinely have no idea because this is the way that it's being promoted thanks to Blake and Co.
I think that is why Justin Baldoni is in the backseat right now.
But instead, you're grasping at straws to paint yourself as the victim, and it's just not working. Nobody believes it. She also posted something on her Instagram story yesterday to promote a domestic violence hotline. But by that point, it was way too late. That was just posted as crisis management. Hey guys, it has been a minute, but we have some Hollywood drama that we need to dive into. Okay, so something wild just happened in Hollywood. So Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, obviously, they are married. Everybody loves them. They just became the first married couple to top the box office for their own movies at the same time in over 34 years. And this is because Blake has a movie out right now called It Ends With Us, and Ryan is obviously doing Deadpool and Wolverine, which we've talked about. However, this success came at a cost. It might have actually cost Blake her entire reputation because people are so angry at how she's been handling the promotion of this film. Let's hurry up and dive on in because this story has so many layers. All right, so the movie is called It Ends With Us, and It Ends With Us is actually a book by author Colleen Hoover. She became loved and a bit notorious on Book Talk, which is obviously like the book lover side of TikTok. Maybe not the most intelligent writing on the face of the earth, but the books are juicy. And apparently Blake was one of those people who absolutely loved the book, and Colleen Hoover loved her as an actress, and so she specifically wanted her to come on board. Seemed like a match made in heaven. She and Ryan got involved. They funded a lot of it, which is how we've gotten here. So they're the producers on the project, and Blake actually cast herself as the female lead, which a year ago had already pissed a lot of people off because they thought that she was too old for the role, that she wasn't right for the role. However, it really wasn't her movie from the start. Actor and director Justin Baldoni was the first to acquire the rights to the book many years ago. He ended up starring in the film opposite of her and directed the whole project. And just lodge that point in your brain for later, because due to the way that this film is being promoted, you would not think that this is his brainchild. You would think that this is all the Blake Lively show. You know, her as the star and the producer, him as the star and the director, also producing some of it. Okay, so Justin, if you don't know who he is, he became famous from the show Jane the Virgin, which is one of my favorite contemporary shows ever. It's so heartwarming, so funny, but he rolled that success into a career in producing and directing. He founded his own production company, which came on to help produce this film, like I said, and he's directed a couple of big films over the past couple of years. I have not seen a single person say a negative thing about him. I know a few people who have worked with him. They absolutely adore him, because all of that is why it was so odd that when it came time to start promoting It Ends With Us last month, Justin was nowhere to be found. Blake and Ryan were doing interviews, the cast was doing interviews, they were all hanging out together, you know, lovey-dovey, having so much fun. No Justin, nothing. But then everybody seemed to kind of put that to rest because they remembered he had just been traveling with his family. His wife is Swedish. I think they were in Sweden for part of the summer, but then it changed. Because then he did start doing press for the film, and he never once blamed himself. And even though he had started doing press, his press was completely separate from the rest of the cast and the crew and the production team. And then, guys, it only got worse because the premiere happened last week, and this is where everything just kind of fell apart and broke open. Everyone was at the premiere. It was a huge deal. You know, Blake Lively looked stunning. Everybody was excited. But Justin, again, did not do a single interview with Blake or the cast. He was not in a single photo with the rest of the team.
If you look at Justin's Instagram story, it's only pictures of himself on the red carpet with his wife.
She's stunning.
Doing interviews alone, and then a group shot, and that's his podcast co-host. Speaking of that, something's going on with these two as well. These two are the co-hosts of the Man Enough podcast.
So it's all three of them. They all host a podcast together. The guy came with Justin and was hanging out with Justin at the premiere. The girl, on the other hand, seems to be Team Blake, if there are even teams to be had. Obviously, none of us actually know what's going on in the press tour, but the Blake and Ryan show in Wolverine, What Are You Doing? And freezing out Justin Baldoni, who seems to be the only one treating the heavy DV themes with care, feels a bit disconcerting and off. And all of that has kind of become the common sentiment. Like, are you promoting a film or are you promoting yourself?
So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this?
Asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Or I could just location share you. I'm just curious about
social security number.
Are we talking emotionally?
Okay, it's not really that difficult of a question. He wasn't asking you logistically. I think you knew what he was asking. I mean, that is genuinely a good question because obviously many people watching the film, sadly, are going to relate on a deeply personal level. I'm nowhere near as known as Blake Lively. And I still have people come up to me and they want to talk about one specific episode that I've made or video that I've talked about or a way that I've changed the way that they've thought about something. That's normal. And it's genuinely so wonderful because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this for a reason. It makes the show that much more meaningful because I know that it's impacting real people in a real way. And instead, she made the sarcastic joke insinuating that, normal people are not worth her time and shouldn't be in her circle. Yeah. Maybe that would have been a funny response in some other interview about a different film, maybe on Jimmy Fallon when you're promoting a comedy, but when you're promoting this film and this story and this message, read the room. It's not that hard. One person on Twitter commented and said, is she just trying to make everyone not like her? She's been such a brat this entire press run. I don't get it. And a girl replied and said, I had zero issues with her before, and I'm also the first to admit that our society will always villainize famous women and exonerate men, but she has just been so beyond insufferable with this press tour, and everything new that I see just makes her look worse. This is from TMZ. Sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ there was a scene in which Justin lifts Blake into the air. According to our sources, Justin has a history of back problems, and before lifting Blake, he went to his on-set trainer and asked how much she weighed and how he could train to protect his back from injury. And that was just so, triggering. To Blake, that is not fat shaming. Let's look at this BTS video where Blake stepped in to direct Justin. And obviously we know from him that she stepped in to direct some of these scenes. She was directing him on how to grab her, embrace her, and kiss her. Listen, all I'm saying is that direction came from Blake. And also Blake, you funded the movie, you produced it, you directed most of it. And speaking of crisis management, Justin actually just hired a crisis management PR firm. That man, all I'm saying, is making sure that he is coming out unscathed as he should, because based on what we know, he has done literally nothing wrong. And honestly, he has been handling this with so much class. The point with all of this drama, even though you guys know I enjoy telling you these stories, the point is that all of this is just so ridiculous. And it is such a good reminder that no matter how likable and wonderful celebrities might seem, no matter how perfect and wholesome their marriages and their children and their families might seem, and Blake and Ryan certainly seem to have it all, they are not perfect. And nobody should idolize them. We should not be idolizing celebrities in this way. And I genuinely hope that they're able to make things right, because I genuinely have always thought that, in the Hollywood landscape, they are great normal role models for people. But all of this just screams egotistical, out of touch, and opportunistic. And the way that they've handled this press tour has truly been illuminating.